and welcome back to a new episode of the Boy Time Podcast. I am Sydney Poitier, and as always, I'm joined by Babby.
Hey.
Oh, we have a slam dunk episode planned as always. I have a lot of different stuff to talk about. Usually I'm the movie guy, but today I'm talking about all sorts of things. I only watched one film. Well, one film I'm going to be talking about on this podcast, I watched another film that will be on the other podcast, Love to Mom. So check that out if you want to know my thoughts on grumpy old men. I won't say anything right now. No sneak peeks. But I think we'll start with gaming because there's gaming news. The GTA 6 got a release date and a trailer. Did you see these things?
I did.
Nice. So I guess we can talk about the trailer because it's apparently the most watched video game release trailer ever, which I don't think is necessarily surprising. But what did you think of the trailer?
It looks pretty insane,
Yeah.
knowing that that's in-engine footage and not cutscene footage.
That's in-engine footage on a PS5.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, they're really going to make me buy a PS5 for this game, aren't they?
Well, it's going to be on PC.
Not initially.
Oh, it isn't? I didn't see that.
Mm-mm.
They're doing the classic Rockstar thing again?
Mm-hmm.
Cowards. Utter cowards, all of them. Well, that's too bad. But it does look really, really good. And it's kind of crazy because, yeah, like you said, this is all in-engine. This isn't like, I mean, there are pre-rendered cutscenes, but there is like straight up gameplay and stuff that is captured in gameplay, and it's crazy. I don't know how they managed to make it look better than Red Dead 2. That's what I will say. Because Red Dead...
$7 bajillion budget, I guess they
Well,
found a way.
Yeah, I guess. But like Red Dead 2 still washes like a bunch of games that come out these days.
Mm-hmm.
And that game is 7 years old. I think it's 2018 or 2019. So 6 or 7, I guess. It's crazy. But I'm excited. It's next year. I think it's like almost exactly a year from right now. It's like the end of May 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that too. I don't really have any games I'm looking forward to besides that. So I don't know. Oh, I guess Doom's coming out next week. That's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Doom the Dark Ages. It's and it's on Game Pass. I already have it installed.
Perfect. Oh, yeah, they got pre-installed?
They got pre-installed.
I got too many games to play. I got Oblivion and that to play now.
I know. I've been playing the crap out of Oblivion.
Yeah.
It's very fun. That's something they don't tell you, is that sometimes these Bethesda RPG games are good. I thought they were all bad.
They can slap. It just takes up all my computer space because of how big it is. But
Wow.
what doesn't do that?
Yeah, and you still have to mod it to make it work correctly.
Yeah.
And fix the balance stuff that Bethesda didn't fix.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fine. Who cares? It's a lot of fun. I like shooting big monsters while sneaking.
True.
That's my favorite. So that's fun and exciting. GTA 6 is probably going to be the best game of all time.
It better be.
I hope so. How long has it been? 12 years since the last one? 13
I think so.
years? I don't know. Yeah, it's been a long time. I do think it's a bold choice because GTA 5, the protagonists in that game, they're all kind of schlubby, which I think is an interest. I think that's kind of the trend. I think most GTA protagonists are kind of like, they aren't like super chiseled action movie stars. They're kind of just like career criminals that are just kind of lazy, but know when to get things done when they need to. But in this one, they're like, we're going to have the two hottest people ever be the protagonists of this game. And there's just like a bunch of like sex scenes in the trailer. I'm like, this is gonna be interesting. Is this going to go full Left 4 Dead 2 and have like, not Left 4 Dead 2, Last of Us 2 and have like sex scenes? The world may only know.
I hope you can play as both protagonists, like you do in
Oh,
GTA 5, and you can just switch and you're in a romantic relationship with yourself.
well, I mean, I think that's kind of the case.
That's kind of, yeah.
That's interesting and fun. But I think it would be funny if there were like sex scenes because like one of the biggest controversies that GTA has ever faced was the hot coffee incident with San
Mhm.
Andreas, where there was I think this part of the story is real, is that there was a plan for a sex mini game to be featured in San Andreas, and it was mostly programmed. And then they were like, why are we doing this? There's no way we're going to be able to get this past the MPAA. So then they kind of just scrapped it. But all of those files were still in there. And so I guess someone found out about it, just digging through San Andreas's game files, found it, and then it became like huge news. And it was like, don't let your kids play GTA San Andreas because somewhere in the source code
You're
is
gonna hack the mainframe.
your 12-year-old is going to hack into the PS2 copy of GTA San Andreas and it's going to find the sex files that aren't even completed yet, but they're going to find it and it's going to turn your child into a sexual deviant. So I think it would be funny if they did a complete 180 and was like, actually, no,
Mhm.
there is just going to be sex in this. I don't know. Kind of
You could
funny.
do it now.
Yeah, you can do it now. Games are so artsy.
Hmm.
Speaking of, I started playing that Clara Obscura Expedition 33, and that is all very.
French JRPG.
It's a French JRPG with Persona combat. Um, Honestly, that sounds like my least favorite thing ever, but honestly, the honestly they shouldn't have called it Clara Obscura Expedition 33 because that's like what I was saying last week. Make it 2 syllables. I would like most things to be 2 syllables max, actually. If we can figure
Hmm.
out different mouth sounds, we should incorporate some like like in like Arabic languages so that we can make new words.
True.
I would like that.
Like Arabic does that a lot, and they always just sound cool.
Yes, they do. And I'm a big fan of that. Or we can start adding clicks. That would be
Mm-hmm.
fun. Like I went down to the, and that would mean I went down to the pet store and saw Chuck. I saw Mo at the pet store. That's what that could mean. I don't know. I'm a radical linguist, that is. Maybe the scariest kind of radical to be.
Mhm.
But oh yeah, but the game is like really really sick, in that it's a really killer premise. It's like a great sci-fi fantasy premise, where basically the like Expedition 33 thing. This exists in a world where like this town in France was like ripped from Earth and taken to like a different dimension. And there's basically just like an endless ocean on all sides of this town. But on like the northern on the northern horizon, there's just like this giant tree and a giant woman. And every year she writes a number on the tree, and it's been going down from 100. But the thing is that every year, the people who are the same age as the number that she puts on the tree, they all die. So at the time of the game, it's 34, but then it transitions into 33. So the oldest people alive in this game are 33 years old, and it's like a last kind of resort where they're like, we have to do something about this now, or else we're not going to be able to like reproduce and survive. If it gets down to like, I don't know, like 15, we're just boned. So that's kind of the setting. And as soon as I found that out, I'm like, that's awesome. That's legitimately a really, really cool premise. I haven't gotten very far in it because I did the reverse that our friend Stella did, because she got Xbox Game Pass to play Oblivion and then played Clara Obscura Expedition 33, and is stuck on that. But I did the reversal. So I was playing Expedition 33 after I was playing Indiana Jones, and then I switched over to Oblivion. So I will finish it eventually, but there's a lot of cool stuff in there. I like the game a lot, and it is fun. So
Crazy how there was 0 games, then all of a sudden there's just a lot of games.
I know.
It's not
And
even like a hot season for it as May.
I know. It's so weird. And then like in about a month, the Switch 2 is going to be out.
Yeah,
What the hell? Why is everything going
crazy.
so fast? I don't understand. But I'll take it. So, play some fun stuff. There's a lot of games out there. In the meantime, let's talk about a hit film I watched. The film I watched was called In the Heat of the Night. The hit Sidney Poitier joint, directed by a man named Norman Jewison. That was going to be my name for the intro of the podcast, and I decided that probably isn't the best look.
Yeah.
I honestly can't believe that's his real last name, but it is.
J.K. Rowling character.
It kind of is. Oh, a goblin banker named Norman Jewison. Yeah, it really does. It sounds like that. I was gonna say it's a little bit like too on the nose for a J.K. Rowling name, but isn't there like an Asian character named Ching Chong or something? Cho
Something like that,
Chong?
yeah. She's horrible at naming things,
She sure is.
among other things.
Yeah. Among many other things,
Many
actually.
things, yeah.
But this movie is very interesting in that it came out in 1967, right in the. I mean, I think the Civil Rights Act was passed, but it wasn't like the end of the civil rights era. That was still kind of going on. And In the Heat of the Night is kind of a response to that. And it has maybe one of the best actors ever, Sidney Poitier, in it. So, it's going to be good. So let's jump in. First of all, this movie is about cops. So I will probably make jokes. So if you are a sensitive cop, first of all, quit your job.
Why are you listening?
Why are you listening to this podcast? Shouldn't you be shooting someone's dog or something?
They're on the job, listening to a podcast.
Yeah, while they have their speed gun pointed at the highway and they're listening to the Boy Time podcast. Did I do what was the thing? Did I urge people to kill themselves in the last episode?
I think that was 1 or 2 episodes ago, yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there's going to be talk of cops. I'm not even going to say anything. That was just a little wink. It's about cops, and it's about racist cops, which again might be an oxymoron, but
Non sequitur.
whatever. But the crux of the story is it's just some random night in what is it? It's Sparta, Mississippi, which I don't know if that's a real place. I guess I could look it up. But it's just like a small podunk town in the middle of Mississippi in presumably 1967. Sparta is it says it's an unincorporated community in Chickasaw County, Mississippi. It doesn't even have population listed. So
We got one of those here too.
what the hell is this? Uh, history. Sparta was once home to 2 churches and a school. Wow.
What happened to it?
I don't know. I think it's gone. So I guess Sparta was a real place, but then it was gone. Probably because of this film portraying their denizens as a bunch of racist assholes, which, knowing middle of nowhere Mississippi, is probably not inaccurate, especially during that time, but also could apply now. So, oh, this is a fun bit of trivia. That's okay. This is so weird. So then it was set in Sparta, Mississippi, but was actually filmed in Sparta, Illinois.
That's
Was
so
it?
weird. There's a Sparta, Wisconsin too.
Did they need to shoot in a town with the same name? I guess for the signs. That's, but wouldn't it say Sparta, Illinois? Maybe not. I guess
They edited
no.
that out in post, but they couldn't change the name in post.
I guess it's interesting. Fun fact about Sparta, Illinois: consumer ammunition manufacturer Underwood Ammo is headquartered and solely based in Sparta, Illinois. So isn't that nice? Where they shot this film is where there's an ammo factory. So that's pretty sick. But the crux of the story is random night, middle of Mississippi, some dude is found dead by a cop, no less. And all the other cops in town all kind of come together. But it isn't like, I think it's more like, think more like Old West sheriff rather than any sort of contemporary police force. Because the town is so small, it's basically just like the chief and like 2 or 3 other like deputies. So it's more similar to that. But they're all there and they're checking out the dead body. You can tell that this police force has like no resources because they just like ask some random kid who has a camera to be like the forensic photographer. And they don't even like pay him, which I guess, I don't know. Do cops pay? Well, that's a weird circumstance, I guess. It probably wouldn't happen now. They wouldn't ask a civilian to take a picture of a dead body. But that's why Mississippi is different, I
Usually they
guess.
advised against it because they're standing over it.
That's true. But they were like manhandling everything without wearing gloves. So I don't know if they were too worried about stuff like that.
True.
Oh, so they find the dead body, they bring it back, whatever. They're like looking around town because they figure that the body's only been dead for like a couple hours, so it's somewhat likely that the killer is still in the area. So they're doing like a sweep, and the same cop that found the body in the middle of the like downtown area in an alley goes by the train station to see if the perp was trying to escape that way. The only person at the train station is Sidney Poitier, a black guy. So the cop immediately assumes that it's him and brings him into the station without even questioning him or asking any question. It's just immediately, you're coming with me, black person. It's pretty obvious that you're the murderer because you're the only black person in a 10 feet vicinity. And so he's brought to the police chief's office where it is revealed that he is a cop. Da da da. It's a twist. He was only in town to visit his mom, but he's actually the world's best homicide detective in Philadelphia, PA. And he has to deal with discrimination and racial profiling, terms that are very serious. So this movie is not messing around. That's what I will say. This movie takes stuff serious. It's not a goofy movie. Literally, and it's not a comedy. I wish it was a goofy movie.
Maybe
That
it should be a goofy movie.
it's a good film.
Mm-hmm.
Prince was playing it. Well, not Prince. The ghost of Prince was playing it over at his house a couple weeks ago.
Good taste.
I thought about going, but it was $50.
Oh.
Well, I guess that was for two people. So I thought if I'm gonna go see a movie at Prince's house, I want it to be something very nice that I like a lot. That would be cool to see there. Because if I'm spending $50 to see a movie, it better be good. And I like a goofy movie, but I don't like a goofy movie that much. Do you understand?
I guess.
Okay. You'll allow it at least?
Yeah, I would see a goofy movie at Prince's house.
Okay. I mean, it would be pretty cool.
It's just a wild sentence to say, like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, I saw a goofy movie at Prince's house. They were playing it
Movie
for like
too.
the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
You know, Prince's house, the most famous movie theater in the country.
It's true.
Yeah, it's not. I don't
That
even
is
know
a
where they're playing
legacy
it.
is living on, where they're just playing movies.
I guess so. They do all sorts of stuff. Um, Maybe if they played this movie at Prince's house, that'd be fun.
Mhm.
I, well, I mean, I guess it would be just as good as seeing it anywhere. I guess I should say that I rated this movie 5 stars, and I think it might be one of the best movies I've ever seen, which I guess goes without saying, but I'm saying like it might be a top 3 best movie of all time.
Okay.
I loved this thing. I thought it was very, very smart in the way that it dealt with these things. Case in point, that, he arrives to the station and obviously, like, the chief is just like, haha, we caught the bad guy, goes through his stuff, finds out that he's a cop, and then is basically just like, you're a cop? You're no cop. We don't hire black people around these parts. And then he's like, no, I'm not there. I'm not from here. Well, I am from here, but I'm actually up north. But something that I thought was really well done is that he's facing the like overt racism in Mississippi, the kind of like immediate fallout from where like Jim Crow isn't like officially a thing anymore, but it's pretty much still a thing. And so he's like dealing with that right now. He's like trying to leave, but he's like being held because the police think that he murdered someone just because he's black. The police chief in Sparta calls his police chief in Pennsylvania, and his police chief in Pennsylvania is just like, okay, you have to work for them now. Like, I know that you were just like discriminated against and insulted, and like you have like this reputation of being like a great detective, and they just thought that you murdered somebody. But now, because you work for me, and because it's a white person asking for my help, I need you to help them. And you can tell that Sidney Poitier does not want to, but he has to. And I'm like, that's a smart way to show that, like, although there are like, there aren't like laws or statutes in place that would stop someone like Sidney Poitier from getting a job in these places in the North, the attitudes towards Black Americans working in these types of positions were still really bad, and they were still like kind of being subjugated by their bosses in a very like kind of controlling way. Very kind of subtle in the way that it does it. Sidney Poitier doesn't like outright say, this makes me upset, and I wish that I did not have to do this, and this is racist because of how you're treating me, Mr. Police Chief. It's just like this little thing. And it's all told by the acting, because we never hear the police chief of Pennsylvania. We're just getting the information secondhand. And, Sidney Poitier is very distinguished. He doesn't like have these big violent outbursts, but you can tell that he's just like so pissed, and he's stewing, and he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to help these people that just threw me in jail for just sitting at a train station, but he's forced to. I think that's very, very smart. I will say, I think some of the movie didn't age necessarily well. First of all, this movie is directed by a white man. Norman Jewison, believe it or not, is not a black guy. That would be a really weird name for a black guy. I don't know if he's Jewish either, I guess. It says on his letterboxed bio that he's from Canada. So, um, yeah, it doesn't say. It doesn't say. But he did also direct Jesus Christ Superstar. So, you know, pretty cool. But I think there is like some sort of redemption built in for the racist police chief guy. It doesn't turn into like full on buddy comedy where like the racist police chief and Sidney Poitier end up being like partners and friends at the end. It's like, oh, I'll promise to keep in touch. There's nothing like that, but you can tell that there is like this kind of mutual respect between them that is like, built up over the course of the movie. And I'm like, I don't like that 100%. Because I'm pretty sure this is like, and I'm trying to put myself in the body of a white director and writer at this time that is like, this is bad. This whole racism thing that y'all are crazy about, I don't really like it. So I'm gonna make a movie to kind of challenge those things. Um, and I think it's more justified for a white person to be telling these stories during this time when it would have been way less likely for black people to be able to tell these stories. So I'm glad that they're being told at all. But because it is a white person in charge, they're like, well, not all of us are bad. And maybe even if we were bad at one point and we did hold these racist thoughts, that, well, at least hopefully, maybe we can come out on the other side and be a more loving and um, accepting person. But that hardly ever happens. So, um, yeah, I think it's kind of out of that guy's character to like suddenly kind of be like, yeah, I respect the black guy when not like 24 hours ago he was holding a black person in jail just because he was black. Like, it doesn't happen that fast. I understand this is a movie, but this is also a movie that, like I said, is really good at like portraying racism in very like subtle ways. So you would think that the politics of it would be a little bit more ironclad, but that is like a minor grievance, and is that the police chief kind of gets a redemption arc. And maybe that's only coming from someone of today's ideology and culture looking at this being like, well, this is an obvious problem. I think that, and I think that that necessarily shouldn't taint the reputation of this movie, in the same way that like, or I guess in the opposite way that I think that like the overt racism and like spousal rape scenes in Gone with the Wind taint the legacy of that movie. I don't necessarily think that that applies to this movie because I could tell that the intentions were good. And for the most part, they're like right on the money, portraying the things that they're trying to portray. It's just like that one little thing at the end. I'm not gonna drag it down half a star. I still think that it is near perfect. Um, because then from like the police, him like kind of getting the case on is like a really, really great detective procedural, a really great mystery. And Sidney Poitier kind of goes on an interesting arc where he is, and I guess this is another kind of minor complaint because he is a like, I mean, his chief says that he is like the go-to guy to solve homicides. He is the Sherlock Holmes of Pennsylvania. But when he gets to Mississippi, one of the main clients, or not clients, one of the main suspects is a plantation owner. And that scene is very, very well done because it kind of reminds me of Django. And I wonder if Django was inspired by this, where it's an old plantation and it's just like, it's uncomfortable because it's a cotton plantation. that has a bunch of black sharecroppers working the fields. And it is like very clearly showing that, like, yes, slavery is not a thing anymore, but we are basically still doing it. And we are almost 100 years after slavery being gone. Well, actually, we're over 100 years of slavery being gone at this point. Um, and so I like that's really powerful to see Sidney Poitier walking in with like a suit and like being very refined and distinguished. That's the thing about Sidney Poitier is that he's very fancy. And I like that. He has like this like booming presence that like no one else has. You can tell that he's in control of like every single second that he's on screen. He's very cool and I like him. Very respectable guy too. Like huge activist for like black rights and stuff here in America and all over the world. So Sidney Poitier, just a good guy. But, you know, he rolls up to this plantation. There's a bunch of black sharecroppers everywhere, and he's uh, wearing this tuxedo. He's like this detective. He's walking in with the police chief. And so, like, everyone's kind of like, what's going on? He meets with the plantation owner, and the plantation owner is very clearly just like, you can tell that he's probably descended from, well, not probably, he is descended from slave owners and still has that ideology. Where like it's kind of interesting the way that they introduce that because Sidney Poitier and the police chief walk into his greenhouse where Sidney Poitier and the plantation owner actually hit it off because they're both interested in gardening and horticulture. But then he's just like, "Hey, Sidney Poitier, which flower is your favorite?" And Sidney Poitier is, "Oh, I like this one. It's very nice. It's pretty." And the plantation owner's like, "Ah, I could have told you that you were gonna pick that one. This flower is much like the like N words. They're strong and resilient, but they need a careful and steady hand to provide for them and give them support. Otherwise, they will fade away and die." And it's just like, oh, this guy kind of like he didn't like let it slip, but it's almost that thing where like I know you experience this and I do too, of like white people being like too secure and saying the wildest, most racist thing you've ever heard just because you're white. And that's kind of the vibe that I got from this, where he's like, he almost forgot that he was talking to a black person and he just kind of like lets that slip because like Sidney Poitier is so different from other black people that this dude has come in contact with. And he just like, oh no, I accidentally said something super duper racist to someone who is the race that I am poking fun of. And from that point, it kind of like devolves. Like they start like yelling at each other. The plantation owner slaps Sidney Poitier, and Sidney Poitier slaps him back, which is like huge. Like, you know, a black person was not allowed to lay hands on a white person or else they'd be lynched. And so like the plantation owner looks over at the chief and is like, "Yo, help me out here. Like, can't you see a black person just assaulted me? He should be dead, even though I just assaulted him." And the police chief does nothing. And then they both leave. And then there's like 10 seconds where the plantation owner like closed the door and then like he looks back towards the camera, like looks down and just starts crying like a baby. I'm like, okay, that's really funny. Like, I just love that. That's like a more subtle version of Django walking in and like blowing the plantation owners' heads off at the end of Django Unchained. It's just like this one little act of rebellion that like completely shakes this racist man to his core and he's never been challenged by a black person and it like just ruins him because he's a huge coward baby idiot who's dead. Most definitely. He was an old dude when they recorded this, and that was 60 years ago. So I think everybody in this movie is dead. Um, so I guess that's something. I'm not sure where I'm going. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Uh, but there's a lot of like really clever kind of subtle ways like that where it is like really kind of picking apart like both racism and racists and like how they react to like coming to terms with the fact that like maybe not all black people are the way that they've been told that they are, and how that kind of clash like really gets to their psyche. It's very interesting the way that this movie deals with race. So I won't go into any more details, but those were two scenes that I really really liked and thought were special. So yeah, I think you should watch it. It's on I don't know what it's on. I think it's on Amazon. I just went on Prime and it was just there. And I like Sidney Poitier because I saw him in um, what's that? What's that movie? To Sir with Love. That's the one that I saw. That was also very good. Came out the same year as this movie, actually. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, that is my thoughts on In the Heat of the Night. You should watch it. Everybody. Especially you, James Franco. I know that he
Big
watches the
listener,
show.
huh?
Big.
Look in your new horror movie.
He's in a horror movie?
He is.
I didn't know
Okay.
James Franco was still working.
Maybe it's Dave Franco I'm thinking of.
Oh, Dave
of the
Franco.
Francos.
Yeah, Dave Franco is. James Franco is, yeah, he got canceled for being the Green Goblin.
Oh, yeah. That is
No.
a cancelable offense. So.
Yeah. No. No. He got canceled for running an acting school and hooking up with the students.
Classic.
It's a classic Hollywood move. Dave Franco. I know he's in the new Now You See Me, but I think is it the movie with the, oh yeah. It's Together. Oh, this is the body horror movie that I thought looked really cool. It's Dave Franco and Allison Brie, and they're married in real life. Isn't that fun?
That'd be fun.
That'll be really fun. It has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
I'm staying far away from that.
That one, well, yeah, you saw the trailer for it where the eyelashes like linked together.
Yeah,
like
I'm
that's so
that.
sick. I was like, man, that's so awesome.
I'm good.
I don't know. I think it looks fun. But I guess I'll talk about that when it comes out in August. But yeah, I am going to talk about a television show that I watched. I watched the second season of a hit show on Apple TV Plus before watching Succession. I know. I watched Shrinking, season 2.
The other S.
The other S show on Apple TV Plus. Yes, it's true. I'm a sucker for Harrelson Ford. I feel like I've been watching a lot of his stuff because we just did Blade Runner. Then I played Indiana Jones. And then I watched Shrinking. I've just been in a Harrison mood this summer, or this year. And I like that. I like Harrison Ford a lot. And he's really good in Shrinking in general, but also this season. Yeah, I don't know where to start, I guess. I guess I should say, I know I'm very late to the party. I am with most television programs. And truthfully, I might have not even gotten to this if it wasn't for my dear mother, who has been urging me to watch this show for a long time. And she has been plugging it on our podcast for those who watch that. And she said, this was back on Easter. She was like, if I got you a Lego set for Easter, would you watch Shrinking while you made it? And so it was a bribe, but it was a successful bribe. So now there's going to be a little bird in the background of our videos. I put it on one of my speakers behind me, and I watched Shrinking season 2. And I'm very glad that I did. I really liked season 1 of Shrinking. It's the comedy television version of Hereditary, which might be the weirdest comparison I've ever made, but allow me to elaborate because this show is all about grief and growing old and generational trauma in the same way that Hereditary is. They're dealing with the same themes. That's really the only thing they have in common, obviously, but I think it's interesting that they're dealing with grief in two very different ways. Where Hereditary is this, I guess it's more like grief of losing your child. That's more of what Hereditary is about. But this movie is, or this show, our main character, Jason Segel, he lost his wife. And so the crux of the show is that Jason Segel is a therapist, and he's like spinning out. He's doing an L crash out, as the kids would say. He's taking X and Molly and hanging out with strippers and prostitutes and going out clubbing, even though his 16-year-old daughter is home grieving over the death of her mother, and he's not there to support her. And that goes on for like, I don't know how long. I think it might be like around a year. So basically, he's a huge failure. And so season 1 is like him trying to dig himself out of that hole and like become a better person and a better father. Season 2 is interesting because, we're starting off at that level where he's kind of, he's doing better. He's mended a lot of his relationships. He's gotten closer to his daughter. And then the guy who killed his wife in a car accident, he was a drunk driver. He like shows up and he like wants to like have some sort of communication with this family. He wants to apologize. He's like super lonely. Like everyone in his life basically like, knew that he was in this accident and caused it and killed somebody. And so he's like alone. He doesn't talk to anybody. And so it's just kind of like his last resort is like going to this family and being like, I'm sorry. Like, I need to like forgive myself, but also he needs something. And so that's kind of the crux of this season is that this guy shows up and Jason Segel's like obviously upset, as I think anyone would be. But his daughter kind of ends up kind of like becoming the drunk driver's friend. And so it's this interesting kind of dynamic where like she has to do this to like move on herself, but also she can't like talk to her dad about it, even though they're closer now than they were. He like if he found out that he would like freak out and maybe do something bad to the other guy because he isn't like completely like back to normal. I don't know. It's very interesting, but it's very well done. Like that aspect of it is some of the best stuff in the show, where it's them dealing with the grief, but also one of these side arcs. Talk about Harrison Ford's arc, because Harrison Ford plays Jason Segel's boss. He's like a world-renowned psychiatrist who still kind of does therapy in his older years because he just likes doing it. So he's his boss and kind of mentor. And so he's kind of involved in all this, obviously, because he supports Jason Segel. But while Jason Segel was on a bender, he started like seeing his daughter as like a therapist. So he's like tight with her. And he's dealing with, he has Parkinson's and he's Harrison Ford, so he doesn't want to tell anybody. That's like my favorite thing about this show is that they like, they were just like, Harrison Ford, just be yourself. We don't really need to do a character. You can just be a grouch and that's fine. And it works. So he's like super closed off and doesn't want anybody to know that he has Parkinson's. He just doesn't want to show any weakness. And so over the course of the show, he's like learning to let people in. It's a very like heartwarming show. It scratches the same itch for me that Joe Pera does. The Joe Pera Talks to You show, I guess, which is my favorite show of all time. So I'm very glad that Shrinking also kind of gives me that vibe where it is just like a bunch of people kind of coming together and living their best lives, even though they're all kind of quirky weirdos. I like that. Kind of, The Bear is kind of like that too. Although that one doesn't make me feel as good as Joe Pera or Shrinking. But in that, it's like a quirky ensemble cast. But yeah, I think Shrinking is worth getting into if you have Apple TV Plus. I will say I don't know. I guess I would get Shrinking for Apple TV Plus or whatever, switch those. I would get Apple Plus for Shrinking, but that's just because I like this kind of stuff. I don't know if it's like as wide appeal as something like Ted Lasso, although they are very similar, kind of tonally. So I don't know. I would just say check it out. It's very good. And you get to see Harrison Ford try, which is nice. That is not a guarantee anymore. I like Red Hulk or the newest Indiana Jones movie, where I'm pretty sure he was on set for about 5 minutes and then they just deep faked him the rest of the way. So, pretty cool. But that's all. I have a concert to talk about, but I will do that at the end of the music segment. So I will pass it on over to Babby for his part of the show, music.
Music. I am music. So Playboy Cardi said.
Really?
One time. I think he said that once.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Little insider information.
Oh.
Couple of things this week. Couple big ones, couple small ones. Only big announcement. JID has finally announced the album and the release date. So album is called God Does Like Ugly, and it
Oh.
comes out August 8th.
Oh. Okay. It's
So
a ways out.
3 months.
Okay.
Which is a bit away still. But that's fine. I think we've been waiting long enough at this point. What's another 3 months? Whatever.
Sure.
Did a little intro thingy to kind of announce it. We have like this makeshift cover right now, which I think is just like hiding the real cover, which is good because I'm not really a fan of the makeshift cover right now. But we'll see how this goes. I'm excited for it, obviously. Work is not his strongest single I've ever heard, but it's still pretty solid. But I think he has a lot to kind of live up to because I think a lot of people like first tapped into him with the Forever Story because of how good that album is.
Yeah.
So he's got a kind of a lot to balance here. I've thoroughly enjoyed every single one of his albums, so I'm not too worried. I think he's been consistently pretty great. But I'm interested to see the direction he takes. I don't think he's going to please as many people with this one as he did the Forever Story because that album is just like encapsulating of so many different things. But we'll see. I still have faith in Jid. I think he can pull out something good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we'll tap back in 3 months.
All right.
So we could probably do it on the channel though. I feel like that'd be a good one to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
That
not?
and Little Sims when that comes out next month.
Yeah. I saw
Which
she was
I
on
think
the
she
chicken shop date.
She was, yeah.
I
I
just
don't know what that is.
You don't know what the chicken shop date is?
I've like seen people go on the chicken shop date. Is this just like another like weird interview format because we can't just ask people questions like normal people?
Um yeah. Well, it's that what's her name? Chicken is it? It's not Amanda de Boldenberg, is it? Oh, it
I can
is.
picture her in my head.
It's Amelia de Moldenberg.
Yes.
Yeah, because she was just like someone that would go to like press junkets. I don't know who she worked for. Like if she was like with some publication, but
Hmm.
like there was always videos of her like on the red carpet with Andrew Garfield or whatever. And so she kind of got her own show because she has like this very distinct kind
Those
of
industry
personality.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's just kind of really she's quirky, and she like playfully flirts with everyone that she
Gotcha.
interviews. And so then I think that's what it is. I think they just I don't know if they go to Cane's or what, but they go to a chicken shop and then just talk in a booth, which is kind of
Interesting.
fun.
Yeah, I'd never seen a chicken shop date. Maybe I'll check one out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I do like my good old Sean Evans every once in a while, but um, yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
Billy Wood's album comes out tomorrow. I
Oh.
am so freaking excited. My reaction might already be on the channel at this point of this podcast coming out, but if it's not, then it should be within the next 24 hours, hopefully. So we'll see how much I break my brain listening to this on camera for the first time. Um, so that should be fun. I'm very excited though. Uh, yeah, seeing him in November, which is like a million miles away from here. I don't know why the tour is like starting in like a month, but the date I got is all the way in November. So I
Oh.
don't know how that makes sense. But he has announced some openers and stuff. So I think Quelle and Cavalier are starting to do some opening sets. So I do hope I get one of those two for my opener set. Um, but yeah, very excited. You will hear my thoughts about this album for probably the rest of the year based off of what's kind of bubbling with it right now. I think he's got a lot of eyes on him since Maps. So now I can stop yelling about Aethiopes because hopefully this is as good as Aethiopes. But we'll see. All right. New stuff. Got a West Side Gun and Dochi collab song,
Oh.
Egypt remix. Um, I think this came about because I don't remember if I think it was Dochi mentioned West Side Gun in an interview and then they linked up, or maybe it was vice versa. One of the two. Um, and then I think West Side Gun sampled Dochi on one of his new EPs that came out, and then they kind of were like, okay, let's link up and do something. And it's cool. It's very cool. I feel like their vibes fit pretty well because they both have like this insane presence on their tracks. So this kind of clash between the two is really great. It's definitely a short, sweet little thing, more of like a, uh, it's like a link up in a song. It's not like a full fleshed out thing. It's a very kind of, we are acknowledging each other and respecting each other. But hopefully this means more collabs in the future because I feel like a Dochi album like executive produced by West Side Gun or something
Mm.
or some that kind of equation would be really cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a cool link up. It's a cool song. I enjoy it. Yeah, still looking out for the Dochi album this year because I she said it was coming out this year, so
Yeah.
we'll see. All right, stuff that came out this week. I have three things to talk about. Uh, Flume and JPEG Mafia. We live in a society.
Uh-huh.
Indeed, we do. This is
We
the
should.
EP between the two. It's four songs. Uh, it's okay. I don't know if
Oh
I'd ever listen
no.
to it again. It's not that good. Um, I feel like these two can have really great moments together, but I feel like they both tried to experiment with different styles on this album. Because all of these, like all the Peggy performances, are not what you typically expect from Peggy. Even in his deep cut stuff, this is kind of a different lane. So it's kind of just like messing around with some different styles. Like there's cool moments in it, but I don't know if there's any song that has the quality of a solo Flume or a solo Peggy track. Honestly, it feels like they're just kind of like really taking their time and just experimenting with different stuff and just like being having fun, which is cool. I just don't think it translates that well for the viewer because I don't know who this is for.
Oh.
um, I don't know if the Peggy fans are into it. It doesn't seem like it. I don't know if the Flume fans are too into it either. I will say Flume's production is pretty cool. I don't know if Peggy's performances like are the best over these. It's a weird mix of like this weird R&B glitch. I don't know. It's a very strange mixture of things. I think the ocean is fake. The last track is probably the best one. The instrumental near the end of that track is fantastic. When Flume is able to like breathe on the instrumental and like really uh, kind of progress the tracks into like a more wide lens, if that makes sense. The outros of like the first track and the last track are really great. They're probably the best parts of the album. The production on it is great. Um, yeah, I think the best part about this is just the cover and the "We Live in a Society" tag.
Yeah.
That's it. It's pretty forgettable. um, but what are you gonna do? Sometimes two great artists link up and then they do something that's not really expected, and that can go one of two ways. This one was just kind of a dud.
I
So
like there was another one, the James Blake and Lil Yachty one that you didn't like.
yeah, that also didn't work that well. Which that one should have worked well, and it didn't. So sometimes these things happen.
It's
But
okay.
that that album was the original "We Live in a Society." They should have just used the handshake for that cover too.
Did Were they Joker fight on that album?
No, it's just the James Blake and Lil Yachty, the clashing
Oh,
of worlds.
oh, that's true.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's okay. I don't have anything else to say about it. A good collab album though that came out. Um, Mike and Tony Seltzer,
To-
Pinball 2.
Tony,
Tony
Big Tony.
Seltzer, Big Tony. um, this is a lot of fun. Uh, Pinball came out last year, March 6th. So this is coming out a little bit over a year. So their second collaboration. Pinball being a more trap focused sound for Mike compared to his usual sample heavy hip hop. Um, and this kind of brings the same energy, but I think it kind of one ups it in terms of production. I do like the production on this album more, just across the board. These beats are crazy good. We're mixing like trap with a little bit of East Coast, but we're also putting in some like slightly southern chopped and screwed type stuff that like we're speeding up and slowing down and getting these druggy kind of interludes, which are really fantastic. All the tracks kind of flow together as well, so it really works well as like a cohesive, um, just nice little 30-minute album. Mike does really great on it. I feel like his presence is a little bit stronger than Pinball One. Um, Although you do have tracks like On God and 24 or 20K, 2K24 Tour on the first one. Those songs are great, but I feel like this is more consistent overall. Um, yeah, the opener is fantastic. Dolomite with Lunchbox is fantastic as well. The beats are crazy on this thing. It really does carry that like heavy booming bass that you want from trap, and the crazy amount of 808s just like flickering everywhere. But there's these really cool transitions between tracks that like almost insert a little bit of I don't want to say hyper pop, but the more like experimental hip hop, funny little interlude things with bloopity blops and stuff. Um, it's a great time. I'm really enjoying it. I think it just barely beats out the first Pinball. I think they're both pretty solid, but I do gravitate towards this more. Um, Jumanji with Earl Sweatshirt is fantastic. I'm glad that Earl Sweatshirt's on the second version of Pinball as well. Those two go great together. Yeah, it's really fun. I do need to listen to it more because it just came out like yesterday, so I don't have too many listens on it so far. Um, but it's a lot of fun. I like that Mike does these little side quests because they are still complete quality. Like everything he touches is pretty much gold to me at this point. I think it's a good contrast to Showbiz that came out in January. So he's got two albums under his belt this year already. But complete polar opposites. This one's really fun. I think it's perfect for the summertime too. So you get your introspective bag with Showbiz, and then you just have some fun with Pinball too. So shout out Big Mike. I need to see him live. He's coming to Minneapolis later this month, but it doesn't work with my schedule. So
Frick.
I'm so sad. I know. I'm so sad. He's gonna be there a week before we're gonna be there. So
Oh,
yeah.
that sucks.
But I'll catch him next time around. I've missed out on him twice. I will not miss out on him on the third time. So yeah. Great stuff though. Shout out Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm glad he released it 2 days before the Billy Woods album too, because there's no way I'm not going to be listening to anything besides that after that comes out. So thank you for dropping this on a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's very considerate.
It is. Don't know if that was your intention at all, but he did call out Billy Woods on Twitter.
Oh, so maybe.
Yeah, so he's acknowledging game at least. So who knows? Okay. Big dog this week is the new Model Actress album, Pirouette. This is their second album off of their they're coming off of their 2023 album Dog's Body. That made my top 10 album of the year in 2023. That was like a last minute pick after I heard it a month before we made our list, and I'm just like, this is too much fun to not put up there. Um, this album's even more fun. I think Dog's Body kind of carried a very much noisy, dark, industrial, slight dance, but kind of more in a no wave area. So it was a little bit more down in the dumps when it comes to the tempos and everything. Um, it's a really great album. I think it's fantastic. There's a couple of songs in there that are just absolutely amazing. Pirouette kind of takes that and flips it on its head a little bit. The dance is the kind of main genre when it comes to this one. We're taking the industrial riffs and stuff, but we're turning them up a notch, and we're having this fantastic groove to the whole album. Um, it's a lot of fun to listen to. Like it is just so free in its expression, um, and it's just a ride to go through the entire track list. Like the energy is constantly maintained. You have these fantastic like chugging guitar riffs that will not stop. Um, his vocals seem to have gotten a lot better too. He's doing a lot more kind of vocal gymnastics throughout the track listing here, which is really great. Um, yeah, the first album was incredibly like gay and flamboyant in its lyricism and kind of a darkness in that. This album turns it up again. It is just so free and insane and expressive and so fun. Um, it's such a ride to go through. I don't know if I can even really pick out too many tracks. I think the highlights initially are like the opener Vespers is really fun. I love how it sets the tone. Um, I would say Acid Rain is really good as well, and then Departures following that one up is also great. Um, there is a little bit of a there's a little bit of a dip somewhere in here. I think there's this I don't know. There's a little bit of a slump somewhere. I don't remember if it's like the track like 3 and 4 or if it's I think it's 8 and 9 Audience and Ring Road, where I'm not like too into it compared to the rest of the album. Um, but it's still a great ride. I'm still kind of digesting this thing, but it's been a lot of fun so far. There's still like a underlying darkness to a lot of it, but the storytelling and the vocals and everything seem to have been taking a natural progression since the first album. And I think these two kind of complement each other pretty perfectly. I think they are similar, but Pirouette definitely takes a more groove centric focus to it, where you can kind of dance to it a lot more. Dog's Body kind of carries a more, I want to say, industrial, almost experimental noise rock to it. I don't know if I could say if one is better than the other. I think they're pretty evenly matched, but that is good for your sophomore. You want something that is just as good as your debut, and this was like one of the strongest debuts of the decade so far. So, shout out Model Actress. This thing is fantastic. Yeah, I need to digest it more, but it's great. It's a lot of fun. So, if you're into the kind of dance punk or just industrial kind of rock area, do not miss this one. It is great. Um,
Nice.
yeah. I don't know if there's anything. Oh, I forgot one. Forgot one. There was a Met Gala this week, and there was a certain man that showed up with a piano on his back for some reason. Um,
Oh, did
Andre
Frank?
3000.
Oh,
Yeah,
Andre.
Andre.
Interesting.
He's got 7 piano sketches for us. It's an
What?
EP.
Oh,
Yeah.
what is
So
that?
it is exactly what it it says. Um, we are pausing on the flute and the new age jazz for a little bit. The spiritual jazz is going away for a second. This is a improv piano EP recorded on like an iPhone from like 2013, so it's not really new. Um, yeah, it is just 7 tracks of him doing improvisation on piano, which it's really nice actually. Like it's not like anything crazy. It's a man playing a piano recorded on an iPhone. Um, He does have more words on this though than he does on New Blue Sun,
Oh,
uh, because he at least says all the track titles before they start, or has someone say them for him. Um, so there's these little like definitive markers in the track list, so you can kind of tell when there was shift into the next thing. Um, but I like improv in music quite a bit. I love that he's kind of just putting these things out there. I always enjoy that, to kind of see a process and as it's going. And I think when you market your little EP as like, I am just sitting down and playing piano. I don't have any music in front of me. I don't have any notes written down. I don't have anything in mind. I am just letting myself play and see where it goes. And I like that. You kind of get to see the process in real time. Um, Again, his piano playing isn't anything crazy, but he's definitely carrying um, melodies and different progressions throughout the track listing. Um, and it's weird because like it does kind of come together in a little bit of cohesion. Like everything does make sense together. Um, I always love kind of hearing musicians kind of go off the cuff like this, because it's always fascinating to see where their brain goes and what kind of chord structures they like to kind of stay within. Um, so it's interesting. It's fun. I think a lot of people criticize this because they're confusing improv with jazz. It's not the same thing. Um, this is not a jazz piano EP that is disconnected from jazz in general. There are some jazz chords you will probably hear, and there's some blues chords on here that you'll probably hear, but it is not jazz at all. So I think like letting go of that expectation will help you, because it's great. I enjoy. I don't know if I'm going to listen to it too much because it is just him playing piano, but it's really interesting to kind of hear his process. Um, we also have the insane Andre track titles again. Most of them are normal except for track 3, and that is called "When You're a Ant and You Wake Up in an Awesome Mood, About to Drive Your Son to School, Only to Discover that you left the lights on in the car last night, so your battery is drained."
ant.
That's a 50 ant. Yes. That is a 54-second track, and the person he has read that title, I think, takes a majority of the time to say the title. So there's not even really a song in there,
Oh,
which is just great. Um, but I think in terms of the ones that like kind of I enjoyed the most, I think the opener "Bluffing in the Snow" was really nice. I love the more like you can kind of hear like the wintry keys, and then he'll go into actual chords, and it's a really nice kind of push and pull. Um, Hotel Lobby Pianos is really nice. That's just some really kind of chill playing that I enjoy. And then Off Rhythm Laughter was really great. I really like that one. I think there's a little bit of a beat underneath that was really nice to hear. So yeah, it's nothing crazy. It's not going to blow your mind, but um, sometimes I like putting on stuff that is just like incredibly minimal like this, and I'm not gonna glaze it because it's Andre, but I like hearing his process, and I am enjoying that
yeah.
he's like letting himself be an amateur musician again with all these different instruments and things he's trying. Um, he has that kind of nomad thing about him that I just do really enjoy, because I respect him as an artist incredibly. So, and I think a lot of stuff he can do in hip hop with flows and rhyme schemes and all that does kind of transfer over into his other instruments, as we've seen on the new Blue Sun record, which is fantastic. And even on these little piano sketches, you can still kind of hear his personality throughout them. So, yeah, very good. A very weird release in terms of a Met Gala outfit, and then releasing this alongside of it. Um, but good job, Andre.
Thank you.
I would love to spend a day with Andre. I
I
feel
would
like he'd
too.
have the coolest life.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it would be cool to like spend a day. Just like
Mm-hmm.
you don't
A day
get
in the
to.
life.
Yeah, no influence from us. We're just
Mm-hmm.
chilling with
I'm
Andre.
a fly on the wall.
Exactly. That would be fun.
It would be.
Andre, if you're interested, we do have a business email.
We do.
And I would fly to Atlanta or wherever. Probably
Wherever you're
Atlanta.
at.
Isn't he? He's from Atlanta.
From Savannah
W-
or Atlanta.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's from Savannah?
I think so.
Sweet. I like that place. We can hang out in Savannah.
Mm-hmm.
We could go to Van Doe's Pizza
Mm.
if that place still exists. Probably did. Before the pandemic, it was booming. So
Those little pizza shops always like are just an institution. They'll just be there for like 80 years.
Yeah, and it was like in like a little square, like a park
Mm.
square. So there was always people there. And so people
Yeah, I
just
can't
go
be
in and
going
grab a
anywhere.
slice. And they were big slices too.
Yeah.
So thank you, Andre. We can go chill there.
Yeah. I think that's it now. That was I almost forgot Andre, and I'm glad I didn't.
I'm glad you didn't too. I didn't hear about
Mhm.
this.
I didn't either until I looked online and I
Oh,
just saw an Andre thing with new music, and I'm like, wait a minute, where did this happen?
I know it's not a rap thing because I definitely would have heard that.
Yeah, exactly. The internet will explode if that ever happens.
Yeah.
I don't think it will. That's fine.
No, no. I on his Spotify it says no bars.
Yeah,
Warning, no bars. I
yeah. He
appreciate
puts
that.
that sticker on the vinyl too. That's great.
I like that. I do hope that maybe one day, but I'm not anticipating it ever.
I hope he does a spoken word piece next.
That would honestly be pretty chill. I like
He's
that.
putting together all the pieces of the Voltron, and then we can kind of mash them all together once we've gotten every
Mm.
piece of the song.
Wouldn't that be cool if like he was releasing an album but every instrument group separately?
That'd be an insane like musical experiment.
And then we have to like splice them all together and it makes the
That's like
song.
a museum piece. Yeah.
That would be so cool. Someone
It's
should do
insane.
that.
Hmm.
Like over the course of like 3 years, release one album as just the instruments. It would have to be some
Yeah.
weirdo pretentious group that would do that,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
it would be kind of cool. It's like the Flaming
Great.
Lips and their 13 cassette tapes.
Yeah, exactly. Keep doing weird stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Speaking of weird stuff, I saw a bunch of lesbians at a Lucy Dacus concert
In Minneapolis.
in Minneapolis. Yeah, no, the concert was really great. Um, at her Minneapolis show, the one that I saw, there was two shows. One of them sold out instantly. I managed to get tickets to the second show, but it was Lucy Dacus headlining, and then opening was Jasmine.4.T and
Mm-hmm.
Katie Gavin from the hit band Muna.
Oh,
These are all things that I didn't know before going in.
I've seen Muna opened as well.
Oh, okay. Well, Katie Gavin's awesome. I'll say that much.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, first up was Jasmine.4.T. And I honestly have no idea what type of music she makes. I think technically it's like I think it's indie rock if I were to like put a label on it, but it is odd. I think it's a group of two trans women from the UK, or if they're not from the UK, that's where they are. They're just European of some sort. Um, but they make like it's one of them plays electric guitar and the other one plays violin. And it is a it's a weird combination of sounds, but somehow it kind of works. They kind of have like a fire and ice thing going on where the electric guitar one has like kind of a weird Midwest emo-y type voice. Her voice kind of reminded me of the dude from Pine Grove.
Mm.
But the violinist has like this like really pretty soprano voice. So it's this really interesting kind of like conflict going on in all of the songs. And sometimes it really worked, but I'm gonna be honest. They played some slow songs, and I'm like, no, y'all. Like, I'm sorry. Like the electric guitar lady tried to do like a slow ballad, and I'm like, I really respect you going for this, but like you don't have the type of voice that is made for like a song like this. Um, but people seem to like it, so um, that's just me being a dumb idiot. But there was a whole lot of like there was like some really crazy like hoedown song that they were playing with like the fiddle. It was a lot of fun. It was like sporadically fun. I think they like just released their album this year,
Yeah, they're only one.
their only album, and I'm pretty sure on the song Guy Fawkes Tesco Disassociation, which is a song about disassociating at the grocery store. It's produced by Phoebe, Lucy, and Julian.
Hmm.
So I don't know if they produced. Oh, it looks like they produced
Why you need
all
all
of
three
it.
of them for that?
I don't know. All three of them produced every song on here. That's interesting. So I guess that's the connection. But I will say, like, there's a lot of potential here, but I think they're just too new on this scene. They're still trying to figure out the sound. So I think maybe give it like an album or two and they might have something special here. So that was Jasmine.4T. And it was kind of fun because the violinist for this group ended up playing violin for all three sets. I kind of felt bad for her because she was like on stage for all like 3 hours. It was a long show because there was two openers. And so she was on stage a lot. But then Katie Gavin went on, and I had never even, well, I was gonna say I'd never even heard of Muna, but I guess they were featured on the Japanese House, one of their songs. So I had actually heard them before, but I didn't like know that name off the top of my head.
They had their moment. They were like a smaller Chapel Roan, like 2 years before Chapel Roan blew
Oh,
up.
okay. That kind
In
of makes
terms of
sense.
like, yeah, this queer, like, insane pop explosion.
I like that. I like that. But she just released her solo album last year. So that's why she's touring around with Lucy. And I was honestly kind of blown away at the live show. I'm like, this is like so good. I didn't expect to like any of the openers like as much as I liked the Lucy set, but I honestly think that like Katie Gavin like was basically equals. I liked her set just as much as I liked Lucy's. And maybe and most definitely it's because this album rocks. I went home and like the next day I think I listened to it like 3 times in a row. It is so G dang good. Or maybe it's just like right up my alley. I don't know. But uh, man, her voice is so interesting. It's kind of like a toned down Adrian Lenker. There's like a little bit of like the kind of stuffy, like back of the throat stuff going on, but not like to the extremes that Adrian Lenker is on. But this is like, it's also kind of interesting because I would almost categorize this album as country. It's like maybe a step or two down from Casey Musgraves. Well, I feel like Casey Musgraves is like, she's like pretty handedly country, or at least Golden Hour is. But this is like a step or two where it's like, I think it's country. I don't know. There's a lot of fiddle on it though. It's like country, indie country rock, but more rock than country, I guess. There's just like more elements of kind of twangier instruments, but she doesn't like sing with that, the country accent, which I don't like. But this album does have Mitski on it. So if you're that kind of lesbian, then this album is just for you, which I guess is just a sad lesbian.
Yeah, this whole show is basically,
Yeah, pretty much.
you already know all this information.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess this is my kind of plug. I think everyone should check out What a Relief by Katie Gavin. I think it's really good.
I don't even think she's the lead vocalist of Muna, so
Oh, she isn't.
I don't think so.
Oh, that's interesting.
I could be wrong, but I don't know.
I don't know either. I didn't know that they were a group until a couple days ago. But yeah, that was the second opener. And then Lucy came out. I think she played most songs off of Forever is a feeling. And she actually started the show with Hot and Heavy, which I was getting flashbacks because I'm pretty sure that's how she opened her show the last time I saw her too. So she did that and then into Ankles. It was kind of interesting because like her show started with Calliope Prelude actually, where it was just like the weird violins while they were like unveiling the stage and like all the stuff they had going on. And then that transitioned into Hot and Heavy, which I thought was kind of an interesting choice because like the end of Calliope Prelude like pretty perfectly leads into Big Deal.
Mm-hmm.
But she saved Big Deal a little bit later on in the show.
Got to keep the energy up right away.
That's true. Yeah. And it was good. I think it was paced really well. And I was very happy because she was like, we didn't play this next song at the show last night. So you guys are getting this by a special request. And then she played Triple Dog Dare. And I'm like, thank you. If I saw Lucy and she didn't play Triple Dog Dare, I would have been slightly disappointed.
I don't care if I heard it once, I need to hear it again.
Yeah, I know. That's how she closed the show last time. Which I mean makes sense. But yeah, I was very happy for that. And it was funny. She actually brought out, it was a different couch, but she brought out a couch about halfway through the show.
Maybe she's just like, I like the couch. I'm just going to incorporate this in the next.
I guess it's kind of her brand now, which I like.
That's good.
Yeah, it was just a different couch, but like they kind of brought all the band members together because they were like all spread out on stage, and they brought the couch out like right in the middle of the front of the stage, and then kind of had the other band members like on seats like in a half circle around that. So it was like this really kind of like really small and intimate part of the show where they were playing the more like stripped back, slower songs off of Forever Is a Feeling. I think that's also when they played I Don't Want to Be Funny Anymore. But, which is actually a song I don't know if I've heard the studio version of, because that's the one album of hers I have not listened to.
Yeah, there's one we haven't heard.
Yeah, I don't even remember what it's called. No Burden, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've not listened to that album ever, actually.
Me neither.
I don't know. Will we? Is that one that we need to?
I mean, she's kind of hit it big with all three. I don't know if the 2016 is going to be good or not, but
I don't know.
She also has the 2019 EP. I haven't heard that one either.
I have. It's pretty good. They're all covers.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've heard My Mother and I actually. I don't know. If we're itching at some point, I feel like it wouldn't be a bad one to do.
No. Lucy's never a bad album to do on the show.
True.
But yeah, she did that. What else? I think that was pretty much the show. I think just what oh, no, it wasn't. While she was out on the couch, it was really funny. I was there with my friend that's also up here. She's a huge Lucy Dacus fan, but she's like more in that scene. Like she knows who Muna was before like walking in the auditorium. And it was like she brought out Samia, who is I think she's a Minneapolis local. Or at least she's based out here. And so she brought her out, and my friend was freaking out. Samia like just dropped an album, I think.
Yeah, last week actually, I think.
Oh, okay.
I haven't listened to it yet. I was probably going to.
Well, my friend said it was really good. So I don't know.
You would probably like it. I think it's singer-songwriter stuff, so we might need to check that one out.
Yeah, she was playing some songs for me because she picked me up. So she was playing some of that, and I'm like, this kind of rules. It was nice. That was a nice part of it because I kind of walked away with that with like 2 albums that I needed to check out.
Yeah, that's the good thing.
That was a good thing. But that was fun because like I don't know how big Samia is. It wasn't like everyone went crazy when she brought Samia on stage. but my friend did, and that was fun to watch because she got very excited and she was like, "This was made specifically for me. This is my part of the show." I'm like, "Yay, this is nice." So yeah, that was pretty sick. I saw someone that I didn't know existed, and then I will listen to an album and be like, "That was cool that I saw her."
Hmm.
That's probably how that will go. But it was funny. Like she like finished the set, and it was the she actually ended the show with "Forever Is a Feeling." But don't worry, she didn't do "Lost Time." It was just earlier. I would have been upset because I
Of
love
course.
"Lost Time."
Yeah, it's great.
um, but she ended that, and then like the stage was just black for like a minute, and people were just clapping. So I'm like, oh, they're gonna do an encore. And then they did an encore, and the two songs that they did for an encore were True Blue and Night Shift.
Oh,
If they didn't do an encore, it would have been a Lucy Dacus show without Night Shift. I feel like that's
interesting.
kind of crazy.
It is, yeah.
So I'm like, wow. But yeah, that was the actual ending. She ended the show with Night Shift. Which I'm gonna be honest, at that point, I think I'm getting too old for standing room only shows.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm like, by the end of that, I was like lightheaded. I'm like, I've been standing in one spot for like three and a
Hmm.
half hours, and my feet hurt. And it was just a long night. I was so tired, and then I had to get up at 6:30 the next morning, and that
Yeah.
was not fun.
After
Uh,
my Swans fiasco last year, I look for balcony seating any single
yeah.
time it's available.
Yeah, yeah. If I bought the tickets, I probably would have done
Yeah.
that, but it's fine. But that was my fun little escapade. Oh, I was probably I think I was looking around, and I think the ratio was about 9 women for every dude in the room.
Yep. That's how Phoebe was too. Me and Bev Jeb were like alone in a sea of Doc Martens, and yeah, it was.
It was funny. Oh, and like most of the dudes that I saw that were there were like with women, and so
Uh,
I figured I'm like, oh, some dudes got dragged here by their girlfriends, which I'm sure other dudes thought was the same case with me. But I might be a bigger Lucy fan than my friend is. I love Lucy, the show and the um, person. I actually don't.
got him.
I actually don't like that show. It's fine. I that was a
Yeah.
hot take. I shouldn't have said that.
Hmm.
I think
Just
it.
right at the end there.
Sorry. Um, it's just it didn't age very well. That's all I'll say. Okay. Am I allowed?
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure you were okay with it.
Of course.
Okay. So yeah, that was my concert that I went to, and it was very nice. And the venue that I was in, it was actually kind of interesting. It was this old theater out in St. Paul.
Yeah, that's the one I went to for Godspeed, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was
Palace Theater or whatever it was.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was cool.
It was cool. I'm a big fan of stuff where the paint is chipping off the walls,
Yeah.
just
I
in
was looking at
general.
that the whole time of the concert because we had balcony seating up there.
Oh yeah.
The seats are way small though. You might have actually been better with the standing room.
Really?
I did not have anywhere to put my legs. Like it was
Oh.
designed for someone who was 5'8".
Oh. Well, sounds like I couldn't win.
Yeah,
That's okay. I assume next time Lucy will be in town, she will be playing the US Bank Stadium.
exactly.
I would be shocked. Um, I
It's funny.
still.
She just announced a show by me now too, and I'm like, oh geez,
Are you gonna go?
I don't know.
Oh, who's opening? Did they say?
Um, well, Slow Pulp is opening on the last part of her tour,
I
but
saw
they're
that.
not opening in the Madison show, which
That's
is
a
their hometown.
scam. Yeah,
So that's kind of a scam.
that would be
And I
so
know
cool.
Julian and Torres had to end their tour early because of health issues from one of them.
Oh,
So they might be taken off of opener status. So I'm not sure.
oh, interesting. Oh yeah, I see that
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have any opener listed.
It might just not be announced yet then.
Yeah.
Because it was Julie, and I was like, all right, I'm going.
Well, yeah. That would be so cute.
She's the only one I haven't seen live yet.
Me too. Except I also haven't seen Phoebe.
Yeah.
So I guess I've only seen one of them.
And who knows where she is right now. So.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Presumably she's in a haunted house with a picket fence.
Mm-hmm.
You can only assume.
Some sort of ghost or skeleton outfit.
Precisely.
I'm going to have a concert review next week, though.
Oh, really?
I got Black Country New Road
Oh, yeah.
in Chicago.
Hey, go get a big slice from me.
We're going to go to Mr. Beef. Going to get the beef.
Oh, you're going to get the beef.
Yeah.
You're going to be waiting in line for a long time.
We got time to kill.
Okay. Well, that'll be cool and fun.
Yeah. We'll take Bab Jab along for the ride.
Nice.
Take him to the big city of Chicago.
Take him to the Bean. There's a pancake place that's by the Bean you should go to.
Ooh.
I don't remember what it's called because I went there when I was 11. But it was like right across the street from the Big Bean.
The Bean. But yeah. We'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
A lot of concerts.
I know. Well, that's the only concert I have scheduled.
Yeah. You kind of got it good over there. Minneapolis is kind of becoming a hub.
I know.
Which I love going over there for concerts, so I'm not complaining for me, but
Yeah, I saw Japanese Breakfast was going to be at the Palace Theater in July.
mm-hmm.
I'm like, maybe. Have you listened to the new Japanese? You did, didn't you?
No, not yet.
Oh.
I haven't listened to it yet. I think it just fell off my radar.
My friend said it was really good. And
Okay.
and she said that she wasn't a fan of Jubilee. That was the other album,
Oh, really?
right?
Interesting.
Yeah. Which I don't know what that says. That might say something in and of itself, but whatever. I don't know. I haven't listened to it. And I never will.
Frankly, I haven't heard.
I probably will. Someday.
It's for melancholy brunettes and sad women. I'm not that, so I just thought, I don't know if I can listen to this. I don't want to
That's
overstep
true.
my bounds.
And I'm not Japanese, so I'm a little bit
That too.
worried.
And I do love breakfast, but that's like 1 out of 5 in the indicator, so that doesn't really.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's kind of interesting. Melancholy brunettes and sad women, those aren't like exclusive.
That is true.
You can be a sad, melancholic brunette woman.
I can fit into melancholy and breakfast. Those are my 2 identifiers.
Not you identify with melancholy, but not sad. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. A lot of people would say those are synonyms, but not you, huh?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I'm interested in this dictionary that you're reading this from.
I feel like melancholy has a more specific tone to it than sad.
There is.
Yeah. It's a feeling of pensive sadness, typically with no obvious cause.
That's a good point. Melancholy is looking out the window while listening to something in the way.
Yeah.
I guess. Is that yeah, no, that is. Like brooding is melancholic.
Brooding could, yeah.
In a way.
Longing and yearning could be a little bit of a different thing. So
yes.
So they're all kind of cousins. So
yes, you're very wise. Has anyone told you that?
That's why you come to this podcast for the linguistic takes.
Yeah. I'm a radical linguist, as we've already established.
Yeah, we've established that.
Yeah.
I'm sort of a cunning linguist myself.
Wow. How long were you sitting on that?
I just came off the dome.
Wow.
I was just talking about one of my favorite hip hop groups.
Is Cunningalingus a hip hop group?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm going to be honest, that makes what you just did a whole lot cooler. Or a whole lot less cooler.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Sorry.
It didn't go off the dome. It was something I already heard.
Frick. I thought you were being so incredibly
Don't
clever.
meet your heroes.
I guess so.
All frauds.
I'm very disappointed now. I have no hope.
That was your one bit of hope.
That
You
was
got.
it.
That was
You
it.
you very briefly restored my faith in humanity with your great wit.
And then you lost it.
And it's gone. I'm gonna have to. What do I even listen to? The new Cemetery album?
Um, I don't know.
Is that what
I
I
don't know
do
if
when
that would
I
make
don't
you
have my
feel.
soul?
I feel like that'd make you have a soul again because you'd like have a passionate fury against it.
Well, that's true. That is
Maybe you got to
true.
play Cemetery to feel something. You know,
Mm, mm.
it's not anything good, but
Yeah, I don't
it's
want to
something.
find that out. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do that experiment. That particular experiment, I'm going to recuse myself,
Okay. Yes.
as the scientists would say. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
He's a real scientist. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Astrophysicist. He doesn't just go on Joe Rogan and Theo Von's podcast. He's actually a
But
scientist.
he does own 5 megahertz.
He does.
Uh-huh.
See, I don't know anything about the guy. Is he a troublesome figure?
He's annoying.
Okay, I don't know if that completely answers my question. Is he?
He likes Elon Musk quite a bit.
Oh, frick.
He's one of those guys where he's like, I'm all logic and science, which makes me insufferable.
Mm,
You know?
he's a scientist, man.
Yeah.
I see. Some guys are wife guys, and some guys are scientists.
Be a wife guy.
Be a wife guy. Just don't cheat on your wife, guy.
Yeah. Well, that makes you not a wife guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Guy.
That makes you a cheating guy. And
Yeah.
nobody wants to be known as cheating guy.
It's true.
I myself is known as stand in the corner and awkwardly down 3 tequila sodas as a pregame to wait for the concert to start that you're in at the Palace Theater in Minnesota.
Yes.
That's kind of what I'm known as. They usually
That's cool.
they usually shorten it to melancholic brunette and sad woman. But
Singular.
just one. I'm only one person. I know it seems like there's multiple people here, but it's just me.
Mhm.
I'm not possessed by a demon or a ghoul.
Oh,
Not yet.
goblin.
A goblin of sorts. I love goblins.
Me too.
There should be a goblin game where you get to play as a goblin. And that's it. Bye.
I